par EUMETSAT et le programme Gmes Africa, qui est financé par l'Union européenne et mis en place par la Commission de l'Union africaine avec 12 consortiums régionaux répartis dans l'ensemble de l'Afrique. Gmes Africa a la mission de mettre en place des services opérationnels dans différents domaines et certains de ces domaines touchent directement la stratégie pour l'économie bleue mise en place par l'Afrique ces dernières années. Donc, nous sommes très contents qu'à travers ce webinaire, nous pourrons vous donner une vue d'ensemble de comment l'observation de la Terre peut soutenir la mise en place des objectifs stratégiques de l'économie bleue en Afrique. La traduction sera disponible tout bientôt pour ce webinaire. Vous pouvez cliquer sur le bouton interprétation qui se trouve en bas à droite de votre écran et choisir la langue de votre choix, soit le français ou l'anglais. Sans plus tarder, je voudrais maintenant passer la parole à mon collègue Paul Kounet, qui va vous faire quelques mots introductifs à ce webinaire et je reviendrai vers vous pour l'agenda. So I would like now to pass the floor to Paul Kounet, Head of Strategy, Communication and International Relations at EUMETSAT for some opening words to this webinar. Paul, the floor is yours.
Hey, merci Vincent and welcome to everybody. See in the chat that there are many people, so I will briefly introduce this seminar, saying that it's very important, a real pleasure for EUMETSAT to have this third seminar on Earth observation in Africa and focusing on the blue economy this time. And we are very pleased to do this seminar together with the GMS in Africa project, so with the African Union Commission and with the support from the European Union. So from a EUMETSAT perspective, you know that we have a long-lasting relationship with Africa, which was primarily focused on meteorology. But we have developed over the year quite a lot of applications on oceanography. We have obviously the observation from our own satellites, but since the late 90s, we also have developed a satellite in the field of ocean altimetry with a JSON series of satellites, JSON 2, JSON 3, and we are now continuing this in the context of the EU Copernicus program with the Sentinel-6C, which has been declared fully operational a few days ago, or 2 days or 3 days ago. Then we are also operating on behalf of the European Union and of the Copernicus program, the Sentinel-3, which give us information on the ocean color, on sea surface temperature, and also on altimetry. So we have a portfolio of oceanographic observation from Europe, but we have also developed a portfolio of oceanographic observation from international partners, from China, from India. And for us in oceanography, what we try to do is to have an integrated data flow to the users with relevant information. And it is important for us that this data flow that we deliver on an operational basis in Europe is also accessible to Africa. So as I said already, we have more than 30 years of experience in cooperating with Africa. So extending from meteorology to oceanography was absolutely a natural way for us to progress. The project GMES in Africa have been very instrumental. We had a few projects before where we established some link with the oceanographic community, but GMS in Africa was really instrumental in making it even broader and more operational. And so I would like to thank mon grand frère Tidiane, who is locked somewhere in Abidjan today, but thank you, Tidiane, for your support. Thank you for the African Union for your support in this project. And I hope that today you will have an opportunity to see a lot of applications of what we can do. It is important for us that what we do is supporting decision-making processes in Africa. And in order to support decision-making process in Africa, we shall make sure that the data are reaching Africa so that you can really use the data, analyze them, and support your decision makers. It's a bit our role, and we are committed to play our role today and in the future. So with these words, I want to conclude my introductory words and wish you all a very, very successful webinar.
Thank you, Paul, for this introductory remark. And yes, I have to excuse Tidiane Ouattara, who is currently preparing the second Gmes in Africa forum in Abidjan. He would like to join us, but he was stuck this morning on unforeseen circumstances. So we will have still the opportunity to listen to the African Union Commission, who will be the first speaker today. Maybe briefly before going forward, I would like to present you in short what will happen this morning in terms of the agenda, and also explain you how you can raise your questions during this webinar. So on the agenda, on the first part, we will have two presentations, one from the African Union Commission, who will introduce the African Blue Economy Strategy, and one from my colleague Haile, who will tell you more about how Earth observation in general can support the blue economy. After these two presentations, we'll have a first session of question and answer. So if you have any question and answer about these two first presentations, you will be able to raise them using the chat or the Q&A button that you find at the bottom of your screen. These two presentations will be followed by 5 cases, concrete applications in support to blue economy, which are happening right now in Africa. Those 5 applications have been developed all as part of the Gmes in Africa project, but also building on background expertise and other projects in the past that have already started supporting the use of Earth observation in Africa for marine applications. So we will listen to a presentation from the 4 corners of Africa, from the North Africa, Western Africa, Central Africa, Southern part, Eastern part of Africa and Indian Ocean. And I think it will be an enjoyable journey around Africa to see how Earth observation support the blue economy. At the middle of those presentations, after the 3 first ones, we will have also a question and answer sessions, and we will have again one at the end of this webinar. I would like also to inform you that this webinar is recorded, and you will be able to have to see this webinar again on the Zoom, on YouTube. We will post the link to the YouTube video at the end of the webinar. For those of you who are not live but joining us, looking at this video later on YouTube, I would like also to ask you my best. So without further ado, I would like now to pass the floor to Linda from the African Union Commission for the presentation on the African strategy for blue economy. Linda, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Vincent Gabaglio. Good morning, good afternoon to everyone. And to start with, my name is Linda. I'm the Blue Economy Coordinator at the African Union Commission. I will create your indulgence to turn off my video so that you can all hear me properly, because I'm kind of in restricted internet problems. Thank you. So I will just share my screen now. So can you all hear me, please? Just confirm.
Yes, can hear you well, Linda.
Okay. Thank you once again. Good morning to everyone. And thank you to EUMETSAT for organizing this webinar on EU for Blue Economy. As I said earlier, I'm the Blue Economy Coordinator at the African Union Commission. And I will be presenting on the African Economy Strategy at the Commission. So to start with, the concept of the blue economy is not new to most of us or all of us in this forum. And the strategy integrates into a new approach and embraces the economic exploitation of resources of oceans, lakes, rivers, and other bodies of water. 38 out of 55 member states in Africa are coastal states. What is interesting with the ABS is that it not only focuses on the coastal countries, it also focuses on the inland areas and other water bodies, because we are taking into consideration the landlocked countries as well. Now, what is the potential of the blue economy? There is enormous potential for the BE sector, which we all know, but to reiterate, it's aimed at supporting sustainable economic growth through oceans-related sectors and activities, while at the same time improving human well-being and preserving the environment. We at the AUC cannot overemphasize the importance of the fisheries sector in Africa, particularly its contribution to creation of more jobs and the link to continental trade. Also, freshwater and ocean fish make a vital contribution to the food and nutritional security of over 200 million Africans. As a background to the strategy, I'll start with introducing the institutional reform. So it came up during the 11th extraordinary session at the AU in 2018, where member states, heads of governments sat together and decided that there was need to encompass a division of focused mainly on blue economy. And with this decision came the renaming of the departments, formerly known as Agriculture, Rural Development, and to now called Directorates of Departments of Agriculture, Rural Development, Blue Economy, and Sustainable Environment, of which Blue Economy is a standalone division, and we are looking to expansion in the coming years, considering that it only started its operation in May 2021, and a director was only brought on board in November 2021. For the frameworks, the BE is made up of a number of African and global policies and initiatives, including the Africa's Integrated Maritime Strategy, the AIMS 2050, which consists of the overarching, concerted, and coherent long-term multi-layered plans of action that will enable achieve the objectives of the AU to enhance maritime viability for a prosperous Africa. We also have the framework, integrating the framework of the Agenda 2063 under its Aspiration 1 Goal 6, which emphasizes blue/ocean economy as a catalyst for socio-economic transformation. We also took into consideration the UN Agenda 2063, the EUMETSAT chapter, which is yet to be ratified. We're hoping for ratification in the upcoming summit in January 2022, and amongst other frameworks. We have the government, special thanks to the government of Norway for funding this initiative and striving to ensure that the BE is not only kickstarted, but also to see its implementation to the next level. On events, so far we've participated on international forums, including the COP26, which took place in November. And also we participated in the commemoration of the Africa Day of Seas and Oceans that took place on the 6th of August, 2021 in Seychelles. And it was hosted in Seychelles, bearing in mind that Seychelles is the champions of BE at the African Union. Recently, about 2 weeks ago, we had the stakeholders workshop in Namibia from 23rd to 24th November. It was an inception workshop that brought together stakeholders from the African Union member states, the RECs, the private sector, the women and youth groups, and also the scientific community, and shared insights to the priorities for the African continent, with the key outcome on the need to improve gaps in data, as well as capacity building and institutional framework. So what then is Africa Blue Economy Strategy? In a nutshell, It's about protecting Africa's maritime and aquatic resources and utilizing them in a sustainable way that will benefit our people. It's consolidated based on the following 5 thematic areas, which you can all see on the screen. And we aim to guide the development of an inclusive and sustainable blue economy. On thematic area 1, I'll go quickly. On the thematic area 1 on fisheries, aquaculture, conservation, and sustainable aquatic ecosystem, it enhances the productivity of fisheries stroke aquaculture. Our main area of intervention will be to promote the conservation, sustainable management of aquatic resources, and to achieve a full wealth generating potential for the fishery and aquaculture sector. Bearing in mind that, as I showed earlier, the huge potential the sector has to offer. On the pillar 2, the main concern for Africans is to be able to transport their cargoes at reasonable costs. And to do this, sea freight rate has to be stabilized, and the need for an upgrade of the ports in the continent, hence the need to mainstream relevant mechanism and framework to operationalize the continental free trade area, which is hosted in Ghana, and to stimulate Africa's shipping and build the capacity of the maritime sector. On pillar 3, the main objective is to promote an integrated strategy for sustainable tourism, also promoting the integration of blue carbon and ecosystem and building of coastal and resilient cities. On pillar 4, AU's main objective is to enhance and support its member states' capacity to meet the NDCs. NDCs are the nationally determined contributors essential to climate change, harness the potential of innovative industries through research and development, and also promote the integration of blue carbon. For the pillar 5, we have to concentrate on strengthening institutions for policy environments and governance to coordinate Africa BE, thereby leading to the economic transformation. So these are basically the 5 pillars, thematic areas of the Africa Blue Economy Strategy. Of course, within these pillars, there's room for expansion and feedback. Of course, we cannot make adjustments to the strategy because it's already adopted. So here we have a tale of 2 cities, as the caption says. We see a young person from Seychelles by name Maria. She's a student at the University of Seychelles who is providing innovative solution by using marine algae plant alternative, which according to her is in a sustainable manner in the pharmaceutical and cosmetic industry. She further promotes the use of microalgae as a versatile resource to producing bioplastic, which may be more cost-effective than biofiber, and on how young people can create a creative and innovative space. What is striking here is that her efforts are essentially in line with the 4th Industrial Revolution, which the AU is looking into as a component of the BE strategy. She's also developing alternative materials stroke biotechnology for sustainable development. However, she needs to be provided with resources, lab equipment, and support on patenting rights, commercialization, and research. Below, we see a similar a colleague per se by name Loliwe, who has similar platform, but the difference here is the fact that she's provided with a huge venture capital. So in summary, the BE at the AU seeks to promote innovation, particularly among youths and women, build the capacity and create space for mentorship. The fundamentals for the division is mainly in 3 categories: the need for sustainability to promote economic growth and preserve and improve livelihoods across all pillars and sectors, inclusiveness aimed at supporting resilience, marine and coastal ecosystem, and the people who depend on them, especially the women and youth communities. We cannot overemphasize the role, the women, there has to be gender balance. It's strongly supported. And lastly, the principle of impact as it relates to access to scientific data and technological advancements. For the implementation of projects and activities so far, we have had to identify needs and priorities across member states through a needs assessment exercise that is ongoing with the support of Expertise France. And the aim of these assessments is collating the needs we get back from member states to come up with mechanisms in the medium and the long term, and also set up an M&E framework to ascertain progress on a continental level. There is the interdepartmental committee that is set up, of which the Gmes and Africa, within the commission, is a member of the committee. The aim of the committee was set up to enhance synergy, identify what each department within the commission can do to fast track the implementation of the Africa Blue Economy Strategy. As we see the implementation of projects so far, as stated earlier, we've had the hosting of the commemoration of the Africa Day of Seas and Oceans in Seychelles. And the government of Seychelles emphasized their commitment as champions to plot the BE, particularly as it relates to small island developing states. We are also in process with UNEP to develop the ocean governance framework to address issues of capacity and sustainability in the long run. We saw the huge potential of the BE, but this cannot be fully harnessed due to barriers and challenges, including security threats such as IUU fishing, piracy, and other forms of threats to our waters. There's also the issue of limited funding and lack of capacity. The impact of climate change which leads to sea level rise and salinization of coastal aquifers, the issue of plastic pollution on the ocean and seas, the inadequate collaboration among stakeholders, and uncoordinated institutional mandates. So for our aim to solve some of these challenges, address some of these challenges, is we brought together the stakeholders to emphasize on how we can intercollaborate. There should be a need for synergy. There should be need to address gaps and identify the strengths of each players in the sector. How can EO be of support to the blue economy? The EO component, very vital, can be used to addressing some of or all of the challenges stated above by providing repetitive measures, can be used to sample remote areas. In a nutshell, EO could provide assessments, monitoring, and forecasting. To end this presentation, the Blue Economy Strategy can only be implemented if all players get on board. There is a strong need for the scientific integration to promote the implementation of the Africa Blue Economy Strategy and providing a regional, coordinated, sustained blue economy observing system. And most importantly, investment in and use of the best viable science, data, technology, and innovation to underpin governance, reforms, and shaping management decisions to enact long-term change, making sure that people benefit from it. I thank you, and I look forward to an engaging section. I welcome remarks, questions, and positive criticism. Thank you very much.
Merci beaucoup, Linda. Merci pour cette excellente présentation. Je vais parler en français, donc je profite pour rappeler les participants qui nous ont rejoints que l'interprétation d'anglais vers le français ou du français vers l'anglais est disponible. If you want interpretation, just click on the interpretation button for those who join us. So, merci beaucoup Linda pour cette présentation qui met en place le cadre politique, hein, je voudrais, pour ce webinaire. Je note que dans cette présentation, tout ce qui est science, données est un des défis pour mettre en place la stratégie de l'économie bleue en Afrique, et je pense que à travers ce webinaire, on pourra démontrer l'utilité des satellites et de l'observation de la Terre pour aider les politiques et les décideurs à mettre en œuvre les grands axes de la stratégie de l'économie bleue que vous avez exposée. Avant de passer aux questions-réponses, je voudrais maintenant donner la parole à ma collègue Hailey Everking pour nous donner une présentation tour d'horizon de ce que l'observation de la Terre et de comment l'observation de la Terre peut soutenir les applications marines et de navigation fluviale en Afrique. Hailey, the floor is yours. And while you are starting to share your presentation, I would like also to remind everybody that you can share your experience about this webinar on social media using the hashtag EUAfrica and the hashtag Blue Economy. So, Hailey, the floor is yours.
Vincent, can you see my presentation okay?
Yes, we can see it, not yet in full screen mode. No, it's done. Yes, thank you,
Okay,
Hailey.
perfect. Thank you very much for the introduction. Bonjour, good morning, everybody. I'm Hailey Evers-King. It's my pleasure to be here with you today to talk about satellite data in support to the blue economy. My current role is I am a marine applications expert at EUMETSAT. I'm involved in providing technical user support and training to various different users around the world of our marine data. So if you've been to one of our training courses, we may have already met. If not, maybe we'll meet in future, or if you contact our help desk, it might be me you speak to. Prior to my role at EUMETSAT, I actually have a history of working, particularly in Southern Africa, developing satellite data applications for harmful algal blooms. So this topic is actually something that's very close to my personal experience and heart as well. So it's a great pleasure to be here with you today. So what will we cover? I'm going to begin by talking a little bit about what we have available to us all in terms of marine satellite and a little bit of other data to us in terms of working with this data for the blue economy. I'll then share a brief overview of some of the types of marine applications that we're able to use the satellite data for, although we have colleagues coming up later who will give you many more examples of this, so I don't want to steal too much of their thunder. And then I'll finish with a bit of information about data access support and training, so how you can work with us if you're interested to start using this data yourselves, or if you're already using the data, how you can get in touch with us for further help and support. So I'd like to start with this diagram here, which is focusing on the data that's currently available, particularly through the Copernicus program for marine applications that are relevant for the blue economy. You can see here we have an overview of the program, which is run by the European Commission. It has several components: space, services, and in situ. At EUMETSAT, we fall under part of the space component. We are operating a number of satellites, Sentinel-3, Jason-3, Sentinel-6, you've already had mentioned, which are of relevance for the marine domain, and we will operate further satellites missions in the future that will be providing data that is relevant for everybody working in the marine environment. We work under the space segment with our colleagues at the European Space Agency, who also operate various satellites under the Sentinel program that have marine relevant data, Sentinel-2 and Sentinel-1. The data from the space segment then leaves us, can go directly to you, but can also go downstream to the various Copernicus services who you may have had some experience working with. We work closely with them, particularly as well under the GMES in Africa program for our trainings. And ocean data is really available in actually quite a few of these services. There is a specific marine service. However, you might also find relevant data for your applications under climate, emergency, and atmosphere services as well. Similarly, there is an in situ component which provides data both back towards the space and services to help us develop the data that we're providing, but also is available to the users directly. And of course, within the Copernicus program and externally now working with GMES in Africa, there are specific projects run by the Marine Consortia, who we'll hear more from later, providing user-driven data delivery and services for the marine environment, specifically in the African context. So I look forward to hearing some updates from our colleagues in the Marine Consortia later. And that's really just the Copernicus perspective. Of course, this is the largest Earth observation program on the planet at the moment, so this is where a lot of the data is coming from. But there are many, many other sources of satellite data, particularly things like the marine meteorological data that we provide already to Africa as part of our work at EUMETSAT, as well as many, many more from our colleagues around the world. In terms of marine applications, the current suite of instruments flown on various different satellite missions are really designed to work together in synergy on the hugely diverse range of applications, challenges, opportunities that we face when it comes to managing and monitoring our marine environment. And from this image here, hopefully you can see what I mean by that. I've taken 3 different types of satellite data, altimetry, and to an extent synthetic aperture radar, so they're interrelated, sea surface temperature data and ocean color data. And you can see how they overlap to provide relevant information on a range of different applications, everything from pollutant transport to marine spatial planning, aquaculture productivity, storm dynamics and safety at sea can be supported using this very wide range of data that we now have available in combination.
Might I just ask you to speak a bit more slower for the interpretations? Thank you.
Sure, I can do, that's no problem. In terms of satellite data and the blue economy in both Europe and Africa, there have been historically a wide range of initiatives. I've mentioned already GMS in Africa and some of its predecessors, such as MITA. We have European framework programs, some of which EUMETSAT have been involved with in various ways for this data dissemination. Our colleagues at ESA have many current and past programs that have been used to develop both the application and knowledge exchange around this data in the field. And there are many international initiatives, such as those run through POGO, GEO, and various other national twinning programs that allow us to work together across the continents to develop the use of Earth observation data for marine applications. I won't talk too much about marine strategies in the blue economy, as Linda's already done an excellent job of this. However, I will say that we're seeing a growing uptake of the use of the data that we provide directly in these initiatives to help develop and protect economical growth in the blue domain. These initiatives have covered various different topics, which I think speak to both the wide diversity of the applications that we need in the marine environment, but also the various challenges we face in bringing this data to its full value. So topics that have been covered include things such as data access, validation of data, so checking the quality of our satellite data with in situ measurements, for example, data visualization, building collaborative networks, especially when it comes to building the capacity that is needed to develop and work with this data to its full value. And they've also focused on a wide range of different applications. So moving into that space now, we're looking at things like maritime safety, oil spills, illegal fishing, water quality, a long list of topics. And many of these topics have an interdisciplinary component where we're also looking at what does weather, climate, and atmosphere have to say, and how does that interact with the environment in the marine domain. So the societal benefits of marine satellite data, I've just got a few examples here. As I said before, my colleagues from the GMES consortium will give you some more examples specifically of what they've been doing in these domains. But in brief, here's one example. Data gives us, for example, improved current and wave measurements and model forecasts. This is what we can get from satellites such as the altimetry instruments that we're flying now, combined particularly with models and things in weather forecasting. And what this then translates to in terms of societal benefit is increased safety at sea, protection of both lives and infrastructure for marine industries, coastal resilience, protecting from storms, particularly important in the context of current climate change, and efficient route planning. So we can reduce fuel costs and emissions associated with shipping, fisheries, etc., when we have the ability to understand what is going on physically in the marine domain. Another thing that data gives us is estimates of coastal and inland water quality and the ability to predict pathogen risks from things like harmful algal blooms, cholera, E. coli, other sorts of biotoxins and things that exist in the marine environment. This is sort of information that we can get from using ocean color data, particularly combined with other forms of data such as precipitation estimates to look at runoff from land, and also sea surface temperature to understand how water is being stratified or transported and how these pathogens, etc., may manifest then in the coastal environment. Once we have that information, we can then translate this into a societal benefit. We can reduce the monitoring costs. Previously, we've had to always go out and check these measurements ourselves directly to understand what might be happening in the coastal environment. With a satellite picture, we can extend this, we can target different areas, we can make our monitoring much more efficient and cost effective. It also allows for operational planning for things like the aquaculture industry, for tourism, etc., and can lead to improved health outcomes. So these sorts of data can contribute towards improved bathing water quality, food standards, etc. Another example of something that the data gives us is a long-term baseline of environmental status, and this can be over multiple different parameters, things such as chlorophyll biomass, the presence of ocean fronts, the heat risk indicators, presence of sediments, where they move to, where they're being disturbed, etc. And really, we can use this sort of information to benefit us in decision-making around things like siting marine protected areas and protecting biodiversity. So when we know what the environment looks like over a long time period, we can choose where is our best place to conserve in order to protect these environments for, say, future fisheries stocks or for tourism purposes and general biodiversity protection. A further example is the monitoring of illegal activities or environmental damage. We can see here some examples using optical and SAR data to detect presence of ships, boats, fisheries vessels, etc., as well as oil spills. And using this sort of data, we can both promote efficient enforcement of our marine regulations, which leads to then preservation of our resources, or we can, in the case of pollution incidents, help to monitor and plan for things like cleanup. Moving on from applications, if you wish to access some of the data that I've shown today, particularly that from us at EUMETSAT, we're offering a range of data discovery and delivery mechanisms designed to suit different situations. So whether you have reliable internet connection or not, depending on how fast you need the data or not, these different data access mechanisms will suit your purposes more or less. And we'd always be happy to discuss with you what is the best option for you to use. We have our EUMETCAST systems, which allow you to receive the data itself via satellite link, so you don't need the internet. We have online-based services such as the CODA system and our long-term data center archive, as well as our view service, which allows you to get quick looks of the data before you download anything so you can see what's happening. And we also offer an ASTP access as well for certain types of data. Finally, I'd like to add that some of our data, a growing proportion of it, particularly the Sentinel data, is available via the Wekio Copernicus DIAS service, which is not just data access, but also allows you to conduct processing alongside the data in a cloud environment. We're moving to a range of new data services over the coming year in particular. Some of these are operational now, serving our meteorological data, but the Copernicus data is envisioned to go onto these services over the course of the next year. This is a new data store service, which will be online. A data tailor service that will allow you to customize the data that you would like to work with, both in a standalone way on your own local computer systems and through a web service. And we have already updated, in fact, our EUMETView system. So you'll see on the right there, there's an example, much nicer visualizations now for you to look at the data before you download and work with it. All of these services are available via API access. So if you're looking at scaling up your operational use of the data, we offer tools and support for you to do that. And there's a link there for you to work with some Python code if you're interested in this. Or the Copernicus and SAF data will start to be integrated into these new services more fully in 2022. And everything is becoming more and more available through our Wekio service over the coming years as it becomes available. For further information and support, there's a range of links here. I won't go through them all, but we can share these with you so that you can learn more about the data that we're able to provide, particularly for the marine domain. And I would encourage anybody who's interested in learning more about this to attend some of our training courses. And that's everything from me. Thank you very much.
Merci, Haile. Thank you, Haile, for your brilliant interventions. Merci. I would like first maybe before starting the Q&A sessions to inform you that all the presentation made during this webinar will be available for download on the very same link that you use to register. We will share at the end of the webinar again this link, and we will upload all the presentation in the hours following the end of this webinar. You will be also able to find under this very same link the YouTube video in case you missed something and would like to view again some of the presentation. Pour la session des questions et réponses, j'aimerais demander à tous les participants de bien vouloir poster leurs questions sous l'onglet Q&A et non pas dans le chat. For all who would like to raise a question, please do it under the Q&A and not in the chat. I've seen that some of you have raised questions in the chat. We will not be able to follow them. So if you have raised a question in the chat, please do it under the Q&A session. For the moment, I've seen that we have 3 questions. So I will pick the first one, which is for Linda. So Linda, the question is as follows. It's come from Mazia Roni. Linda, putting into account climate change, do you preach this gospel to the layman who is depending entirely on oceans, lakes for survival, as they mostly use crude gears which encourage water pollution? So Linda, would you like to respond to this first question? If you are still with us. Seems that Linda left, so I will give her the opportunity to join again. So the second question is for Hailey. It's how do I access inland water data like for the Lake Victoria regarding wind gusts, waves, squalls, lines, and thunderstorm? Such products are much needed for local fishermen or mariners. I do marine forecast and issue warning alert, however, EUMETSAT data on the mentioned product are limited. So the question is also from Ronnie Maziazi. Hailey?
Yeah, I can say, unfortunately, I'm not actually a meteorologist. I'm more of an oceanographer myself, but I certainly have some colleagues that could probably help with this. So there are data probably available that can help, but I'd like to speak to you in more detail about what you've already tried and see what's sufficient that you haven't, where the gaps are with what you've already got. And then I could speak to my colleagues within our training division, particularly who do the marine forecasting courses, who could probably help you find what are the optimal products for you to use. If they're not within our portfolio, you might find they're within some of our colleagues, particularly CMWF, for example. So my suggestion would be to drop your query to our help desk. It's ops@eumetsat.int, and we can follow up from there in more detail. But thank you for your question.
Thank you, Hailey. There is a follow-on question also for you, actually. Is it possible to request assistance when analyzing satellite data obtained from EUMETSAT?
Yeah, this is certainly true, depending on what you're asking in terms of analysis, of course. I mean, we're not experts in all different types of analysis, but in terms of helping you, for example, to download time series of data, to understand the quality limitations, which algorithms you might want to use or which products, we can certainly help with this. Through our training courses, we also tend to run these kind of mini project workflows where you come with an idea of something you'd like to work on, and the trainers will spend time with you to help develop that application. So there's various different ways we could help you to build your analysis.
Okay, thank you, Hailey. I would like also here just to complement, because depending the regions you are, you will see that in the next presentation from the 5 regional centers in Africa dealing with marine data, you can also get support from those regional centers, depending also on your regions and the applications that you are looking for. I would like to pick another questions. I think Linda, I don't see Linda with us anymore, so I will concentrate on the questions related to more data access. I've seen one question from Wilberforce Kiwazi. Hi, what is the highest resolution of the data?
This depends very much on the product that you're interested in particular. If we're looking at, say, Sentinel-3, you have data ranging from 300 meters up to a few kilometers. Sentinel-6, the along track data, the new altimetry is quite high resolution as well, higher than we had for Sentinel-3 SRAL. If you're looking at temperature and wind products, it varies again depending on which sensor we're looking at. So need more information to give you that advice in particular. Looking beyond our portfolio as well for marine environment, you've got things like Sentinel-2 that can provide some optical data at even higher resolution at tens of meters. So yeah, it's very much dependent on exactly what parameter you're interested in.
Thank you, Hailey. I've seen that we have a question from our colleague from Nigeria who wants to know if Nigeria has a system in place. For this question, I would like to invite Fareza Munir, who asked the questions, to wait for the presentation from our colleague from University of Ghana, who have been putting in place the project over the whole Western Africa. And I think he might raise again these questions after this presentation if it's not directly answered by Ghana. I have another questions. I don't know if Hailey, you can ask support the answer. How is illegal fishing data categorized?
Yeah, this is a very big topic and a big question. I can speak to a little bit from the satellite perspective of how we've been involved in that historically as sort of researchers working in that area. So usually what's being looked at is activities that might suggest that illegal fishing is going on. We can't categorically say from satellite that this is somebody doing something illegal. It has to be, checked and reviewed and against the regulations for that. But usually what's being looked at is the difference, say, between the presence of, say, an AIS beacon and the often the absence of an AIS beacon and the presence of a certain size of vessel that should have an AIS beacon on, and that it's maybe turned it off because it's doing something that it shouldn't be doing. So this is kind of fundamentally where a lot of the data that we work with, such as the SAR data from Sentinel-1, has been used to start trying to detect what we suspect might be illegal activity. Of course, this then has to feed down into wider processes of enforcement, but this is the role the satellite data has in this process.
Thank you, Hailey. I can pick another questions from RDC, from the Republic Democratic of Congo, Ms. Ogui Takisabo, who is asking in French, what are the meteorological parameters that the satellites provide for the marine forecast?
Various different ones, particularly things like wind and waves mostly. There's a wide portfolio, and depending on whether you're looking at the sort of level 1, level 2 data down into sort of marine data we're providing now through the Copernicus services, it really grows and grows. I would advise particularly to have a look at one of our marine forecasting courses that we do that covers this in a lot more detail. There's some resources that are open already on our training.umetsat.in website, which will give you more information about the wide range of parameters we have for marine forecasting.
Thank you. And I think we have the time for two more questions. One is a bit more commercially oriented, I will say. There is a question from Philippe Brasco, who said that, let's say that an Earth observation platform is interested in reselling Earth observation data in a user-friendly way. Are there any market size estimate for Africa on this? Which segment will be interested in buying such services, local business, government, or NGOs? So first, I would like, before giving you the floor, Hailey, to answer that the satellite data from Sentinel-3 or EUMETSAT are all free of charge for marine applications. But obviously, there is indeed downstream sectors which can market some applications. So Hailey, maybe you would like to say something about this?
Yeah, there's a kind of growing body of research about this question, about how big is this market for the data that we provide. I mean, part of the sort of idea of Copernicus, the aims of the program, is to provide data that can then inspire other businesses to do things with it. So, taking what we've got, doing analysis and reselling it in different user-friendly ways is definitely something that we want to encourage. Market size estimates for the continent in particular, I'm not sure. I've seen analysis done on a sector by sector basis, as there's some really good ones that have been done, particularly around things like water quality. A lot of it's looking at, how much money do we stand to save by not having to do this type of monitoring this way, or by preventing certain health impacts, or being able to respond operationally, for example, to conditions when it comes to fishing or aquaculture that would mean that it would be more beneficial to sort of stay home rather than go out. It's quite a complex set of analysis, and I've seen sort of localized things around different topics and different applications, but nothing super consistent. I know some of the GMES consortia have looked at this a bit, and maybe they can speak to this more later.
Yeah, thank you, Hailey. That's what I wanted to complement in saying that indeed the next 5 speakers, all from Africa, have also have actually some more experience than probably us directly here at EUMETSAT as satellite data provider on how the market, the commercial sector is organizing itself actually in Africa to have added value services based on satellite data. So just for the 5 next speakers, if you could also keep this question in mind, and maybe during your interventions or during the next Q&A session, we can come back on this very interesting discussion. Very last questions, and then I would like to move. I've seen that a lot of people are also asking questions in the chat. Please do not use the chat, but use the Q&A to raise your questions. So the last question I wanted to pick is from Sholademi. Is there ocean current data from satellite imagery? How could I obtain that? Ocean current data, and maybe also ocean forecast of ocean current data. Hailey, if you could just take.
Yeah, so this is definitely a time when you would want to visit our colleagues at the Copernicus Marine Service. They provide a lot of different products around ocean currents of different types and different scales. A lot of that data comes from a combination of the data from the altimeters that we operate, for example, as well as some other altimeters operated by our colleagues from around the world. So you can have a look at the catalogue that they have. The website is marine.copernicus.eu, and you'll see there that they have different products provided via satellite altimetry.
Okay, thank you very much, Hailey. I think we need to progress now in this webinar with the presentation from Africa. I hope that the 2 first presentations set the scenes for the next ones. And would like, without further ado, to ask Bennett Foley from the University of Ghana to make his presentation of what GMS in Africa has been doing in the western part of Africa. So Bennett, if you are with us.
Yes, I'm with you. Good morning.
Good morning,
everyone.
Bennett.
Yes, I hope you can see my screen and also hear me.
We can hear you well and we can see your screen. Yes, thank you.
Okay, great. All right, so I'm from the University of Ghana. The University of Ghana Consortium is one of the consortia implementing the marine services under the GMES in Africa program. And this morning, I'm going to talk about safety at sea, that is providing warning services to fishermen. This is one of our services that we give to the marine community. And to add to that, I'm actually an oceanographer, and I contribute to developing the services, the oceanography services for the West African sub-region. Okay, so we all know that the blue economy is a very important thing for the global agenda as well. And we understand, and you agree with me, that without human beings, we can't be talking about the blue economy. And so that is why we need to ensure the safety of the people who work on the oceans, especially with the direct involvement in working on the ocean. And for us in the West African sub-region, our main worry has been for the people or the local fishermen who use dugout canoes, as you can see on the screen, very small canoes but they can go very far, and you realize that this small canoe can easily be toppled over by even the slightest waves. And so for us to ensure the security of these people who go every day to earn a living, and as well as to take care of their families and provide fish for their communities, we have to provide them with information, early warning information that they can use to rely on to protect themselves from being destroyed by the strong waves and the bad ocean conditions. So basically, we have a lot of these canoes, about 12,000 in Ghana, over 12,000 in Ghana, and about over 120,000 in the whole of West Africa. And most of the time, they don't have a reliable early warning information, and they depend mostly on their local knowledge to interpret or forecast the marine environment, which is most of the time erroneous. And therefore, and they also don't have any communication equipment when they go out to sea. So if there is any danger, they are unable to even communicate to people on land for rescue. And so to protect them, we have to provide them with accurate information that they will rely on for their embarkment to sea for their activities. So over the years, we've had several incidents of accidents at sea where people have drowned, and we've had some missing. We couldn't find them because of bad weather. And we also, this has been reported in the various media, especially in Ghana. And I'm sure if you search for some of these issues in the rest of Africa or West Africa, you find a lot of this. But I must say that this information here is old news, because the information that we have been providing on early warning system have now helped to improve the system. People are now recording very less of these incidents because of the reliance on the early warning messages that we send. So the main objective of the program, or the service, this particular service being provided by University of Ghana, is to support the fishermen to be safe at sea with respect to their lives as well as their equipment. You know, they invest a lot into this, into their business, and therefore their equipment or their nets as well need to be protected. And we do this in collaboration with all the various fisheries ministries across West Africa, or the coastal countries of West Africa, and other institutions that are involved in the ocean business. And this objective also fits very well into the global objective of the GMES and Africa program, which is to provide decision makers with Earth observation information and tools that will support the effective marine and coastal resource management in West Africa. And in this regard, to help our local fishermen to make decisions on whether to go to sea or not, based on the prevailing conditions or forecast conditions of the ocean. And so out of the main services that we provide, we have three main services. That is forecasting potential fishing zones and providing coastal ecosystem or habitat vulnerability information to use it. But this particular presentation focuses on providing forecast information, early warning information to artisanal fishermen, which is one of the three services that we provide. This covers all the 12 West African countries that we work with, that is the 12 coastal West African countries. And when we started, it was 14, but now we've been going for, we are going to be providing to North Africa, collaborating with North Africa and providing with North Africa, and that will increase the number to about 18 countries. So this service was basically developed with consultation with the fishermen, the local fishermen. We had consultations with them. And the data that we use mainly come from the Copernicus Marine Services. So we download a lot of data from currents, waves, winds from the Copernicus Marine Services, and we add value to this data to provide the early warning information to the users. And this is done on a daily basis. So we have automated all our services, automated the download of the data, the processing of the data, converting the data into ISIS, and the dissemination of the messages and the product as well, all have been automated. So what we do is, after downloading the data from the Copernicus Marine Services, it is the variables are extracted, and based on the EEZ, that's the exclusive economic zone of each country, we extract that information for each country, and then convert that information to indices. These indices are from 1 to 3, that is numbered 1 to 3. And based on the different categories of wave heights. Now, these categories of wave heights was used based on the Beaufort scale. The Beaufort scale is a scale used by meteorologists in classifying various intensities of winds and waves. So we base our classification on the Beaufort scale. And as I said, this was done in consultation with the fishermen. So what we did was to go to the field and get the fishermen, show them images, various images of the various ocean states, the sea states, how rough or calm the ocean is. And then in their local understanding, they will tell us, okay, this one is dangerous for us. This one is considered as rough, or this one is considered as calm. So with this categorization, we developed 3 categories, which is the calm, rough, and dangerous condition for the fishermen based on their recommendations. And so we convert these indices and add text messages to it. This is the Beaufort scale that we use in redefining our indices. So you can see various ranges of wave heights that we recategorize as calm, and then rough, and then dangerous. So when we started this initially, providing the early warning information to the fishermen, we usually collected their telephone numbers, their mobile numbers. A lot of all the communities who provide us with mobile numbers, especially the chief fishermen who are the leaders in the community. We have to have the numbers of those people, so that even if the people in the community don't have phone numbers, when the chief fishermen receive the message, they can broadcast this information in different ways as they can. And so we put these telephone numbers in an Excel sheet and then append the forecast to it. And now the forecast is normally for 3 days ahead. And then this information is scheduled and sent through what we call the SMS gateway. We set up an SMS gateway or client server, which automatically picks the messages and then disseminates it at a particular time. That was when we started initially. And then we did that using an internet dongle, which you can see in the image. But along the way, we enhanced the services. And now what we do is we have actually included the meteorological agencies who now confirm the forecast. Either they confirm the forecast, or now they push their forecast to the platform to be disseminated to users. And an example is the Ghana Meteorological Agency, who also periodically sends out this bulletin that you see on the screen to users to warn them, in addition to the messages that we send. Now, we also came out with new developments, such as developing a USSD code for the fishermen to use. Instead of now we sending the message to them at a particular time, they now request for the message at any time that they want. So we developed this USSD code for them. So in Ghana, we have a different code, and then we have in Nigeria, we also have a different code. Now, in addition to this USSD code, we also have apps. We have developed an app, which is the Gmes Ug Mobile App on Android, as well as on iOS, which can be downloaded. And for the app, it's not only the message that you can receive, but also you can also get the product of the ocean condition as an image for the whole of West Africa. So you can zoom in to your location and see what condition prevails in your location at a particular time or for a particular day. And we want to go ahead and do all for the USAID service, implement this for all the countries in the West African region, and for them to be able to access that easily. Now, for the USAID code, we are implementing this because we know the fishermen, a lot of them may not be very well educated, but they are able to use the mobile phone, at least 1, 2, 3, for up to the numbers on the phone. They are able to dial, they understand, they are able to read it, and so they are able to access this USSD code. Again, the message that comes is also in the form of numbers, which is the 1, 2, 3, which one representing a calm condition, 2 representing a rough condition, and then 3 representing a dangerous condition. So we put these numbers there and we add the interpretation to it as well. So even if you're not able to read the interpretation, you can see the number and understand what condition it is. And we have given them created awareness on this service and how to access it. So Bennett, this is the mobile.
So okay. If you could, yes, try to conclude so that we have time for the other speakers. Thanks.
Okay, concluding. So this is just the mobile app, the interface of the mobile app, where you have you can access the map, you can access the alerts, and then sample of the map that you can access. You can choose the dates that you want, and for the message as well, you can choose the date and get the message, and you can select for which country ever you are in, select the country, and then for the USSD, you dial the code *920*88 for Ghana to access the message, and for Nigeria, you dial *348*87 for Nigeria, and then you access the messages. So these are some of the times we have created awareness, asking them also to use flags to represent the ocean conditions, and we have given them brochures and all of that, mounted billboards, and educated them on how to access the service, and it is going on well. And so for my conclusion, we know that it is very essential to provide the safety of fishermen at sea, and we are doing this by providing them with the early warning information, and we have developed the USSD code, and using flags, they are able to also share the information on their landing beaches. And we also know that there is the need to indicate, there's the need to continue these services, and we are working towards that to sustain the project. We would like to thank the European Commission, the African Union, and also the Gmes Africa team, and all our partners who contributed to the success of the program. I'd like to thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Bennett. And I was really sorry to intervene because indeed you are doing so many things at the University of Ghana that giving you only 10-15 minutes is very short for you to be able to show all what you are doing, but more than that, all the impact actually that what you are doing has in the coastal community in the western coast of Africa. I would really like to encourage everybody to really follow the University of Ghana through social media on their website, because they very regularly also advertise or create awareness about their activities, not only to the scientific communities, but also very recently also to women interested, and so they have a very strong outreach on what they are doing. I would like also now to pass the floor to Eric Martial, who is our next speakers. While Eric is loading his presentation, I would like also to inform you that our colleagues from the Copernicus Marine Service from Mercator Oceans are also organizing on 7 and 8 of December, so next week, a special workshop on marine data for Africa. Veronique has been posting in the chat some link. We will also post that through our social media and maybe also on the registration room, so that registration link for this webinar, so that if you like to further continue your discovery on use of Earth observation for marine in Africa, you can also join the workshop organized by Mercator Oceans next week. So Eric, the floor is yours. Thank you.
So good afternoon and good morning to everyone. Can you hear me and see my screen?
We can hear you very well and see your screens too. Yes, thanks.
So I'm Eric Martial from the Mauritius Oceanography Institute. I will be talking to you about the Marine and Coastal Management Service in East Africa, and more specifically about the good work that my colleagues in Tanzania are doing with respect to the potential fishing zone. So for the GMES and Africa Marine and Coastal Management in the East Africa region, the MOI is the lead institution in a consortium consisting of l'Institut Halieutique et des Sciences Marines from Madagascar, Kenya Marine Fisheries Research Institute, the Seychelles Meteorological Authority, the Tanzania Fisheries and Research Institute, and the Western Indian Ocean Marine Science Association. So under this action, we are in fact developing 5 applications. But for this afternoon, I will be talking more specifically about the fishing zone monitoring and protection, and about the potential fishing zone identification in Tanzania. So can you see my screen moving, or it's stuck on the second screen?
We are still on the introduction. Now it's overall objective. We are still on the overall objective slides right now. Yes, now we are in the socioeconomic context.
Exactly. So I'll be talking to you about the case of Tanzania, and briefly about the context in Tanzania. Tanzania has a coastline of about 1,424 kilometers, and EZ of 223,000 kilometers, and 64,000 kilometers of territorial water. Tanzania has a population of nearly 60 million people, so fish is a very important source of protein for the population. But the current situation is that fish production from marine waters does not match the numbers when compared to freshwater fish production. Only 15 to 17% of fish production comes from the marine waters. And around 90 to 95% of fishermen are small and medium-scale fishermen. So it is important for Tanzania to be able to harness the resources from the marine waters, as the EEZ represents around 26% of, as compared to the land surface area. It's about 26% of the land surface area. So The key challenges that Tanzania is facing is firstly to increase fish production from the marine waters, also to provide reliable information to fishers to enable them to venture out offshore. However, Tanzania has limited capacity to collect in situ data. While encouraging the fishers to fish more, we also want to reduce overexploitation of the inshore resources, while at the same time managing the underused resources. Like my colleague said earlier, safety at sea is a very important thing when the fishers go at sea. So because we have limited information about where the fishers are going out to fish, it sometimes happens that fishers get lost at sea. But with the service we have implemented regarding the potential fishing zone, now we know where the fishers are going out, which coordinates we are moving to, and fishing at sea is becoming safer for them. So in Tanzania, our partner, the Tanzania Fisheries Research Institute, is a beneficiary of Earth observation infrastructure since the AMSD project. So we have a satellite dish, and also we have an e-station, a satellite receiving station, which also enables them to process and visualize Earth observation data. For the potential fishing zone service, we are using principally the 3D composite of chlorophyll A and SST at a resolution of 1 kilometer. So what is this PFZ service about? Everything starts with the acquisition of the data on a daily basis, the acquisition of the chlorophyll A and SST data at 1 kilometer resolution on a daily basis. Once the data is received on the e-station, there's an automatic process which goes on to generate SST fonts using a specific algorithm from the SST data. Once the SST fonts are generated, then the expertise of our colleagues at TAFIRI comes in play, where we analyze the data, we compare it with the chlorophyll data to come up with potential fishing zones. These zones are identified, and then the coordinates are extracted, and these coordinates are then passed on to the local authority. Here, I'm talking about the Deep Sea Fishing Authority, which is working hand in hand with TAFIRI. And this data is then also disseminated to coastal fishers, small and medium scale fishers via SMS. It is important to note that this project is working well in Tanzania because there is a close collaboration between the local authority, the Deep Sea Fishing Authority, TAFIRI. We are working hand in hand to provide not only the PFZ coordinates to the fishers, but we have also empowered the fishers by providing them with GPSs and smartphones, so that with the GPS, we can put in the coordinates and go to the exact location where the potential fishing zones have been identified. And via their mobile, the smartphones, we can receive SMS and data regarding to the potential fishing zone. It is good to give information about potential fishing zones to the local fishers, but TAFIRI has gone a little bit further than that. We are now in having the capacity to identify potential fishing zones, and we have found that those potential fishing zones are distributed both in the territorial waters and in the EEZ. We are also seeing that we can track the potential fishing zone and provide the information to fishers throughout the year. Also, we have been able to show, to ascertain that Earth observation data that we are receiving is a reliable tool to help them monitor the fisheries resources, although we have limited in situ oceanographic data. Using this potential fishing zone information and the Earth observation data, we are in a better position to provide the fishers with specific information on where to go and fish, but also we have now a better understanding on the fisheries in the Tanzanian EEZ. Also, we are able to identify areas which are productive for pelagic fisheries. By giving this information to the fishers, the coastal fishers, we are able to empower those fishers so that they have access to useful information when we go out at sea, when we go out fishing, thereby reducing the number of time of hours spent looking for fish, and also reducing the consumption of fuel when they go out fishing. TAFIRI have also found that during the implementation of the project, the charts that they produce has an accuracy of more than 80% based on the feedback we have received from the fishers. By doing so, by providing this type of information to the fishers, we have greatly improved the livelihood of the coastal fishers with whom we have been working. So over the past month, TAFIRI has been working with the PFZ, have been creating awareness about how to use the PFZ amongst the district fisheries officers. We have introduced the concept of PFZ to some 148 ringnet fishers. We have managed to establish a public-private partnership between TAFIRI, the Deep Sea Fishing Authority as a public part, and the fishers community as a private sector. So before I end, allow me to show you a short video, a 3-minute video on the work that TAFIRI is doing with the fishers in Tanzania. And then I will be glad to answer to any questions and any positive comments from the crowd.
Ili mtu aweze kupata samaki ile mlazimu kwanza aondoke bila kujua anaenda mahali gani, lakini walikuwa wanatumia muda mwingi kuhangaika kutafuta samaki.
Ukiangalia kwa ongezeko la watu duniani sana, na kwa ina maana kwamba chakula nacho kinafanya nini, kinapungua, na kwa maana hiyo watu wanajaribu kutumia nguvu nyingi ili kuhakikisha wanafanya nini, wanakamata wale samaki ili kuhakikisha kwamba kuna chakula cha nini, cha kutosha. Kwa maana hiyo nguvu ya uvuvi inakuwa katika maeneo yale kwa sababu teknolojia wanayotumia au mbinu wanazotumia na vyombo wanavyovitumia vinawaruhusu kwenda kwenye maji ya karibu tu, na hawezi kwenda maji ya mbali, au zile zana wanazozitumia haziwezi kuwaruhusu. Matokeo yake ni kwamba samaki wanapungua kwa kasi kwa sababu wanavua maeneo yale kila siku.
Mradi wa PFZ ni mradi ambao unatumia teknolojia ya satellite kuangalia viashiria mbalimbali vya kimazingira kama joto la maji, kuangalia maeneo yanayofaa kwa uvuvi.
Kama tunavyofahamu sasa hivi dunia imeshabadilika sana. yani yale kufanya kazi na pengine sio kwenye uvuvi tu, kwa sehemu zingine pia, kwamba ile kutumia watu kutumia njia teknolojia ya kisasa ambayo ipo kwa ajili ya kutumika. Kwa sasa kwa hiyo na kutofanya hivi inapunguza tija, kwa sababu na inakatisha tamaa watu, wanaona kwamba uvuvi ni pengine ni kazi ambayo ni ngumu, ni kazi ambayo haina manufaa. Kwa hiyo sisi ndio tukaanza na hicho.
Before hii PFZ kwa tunakwenda baharini bila uhakika. Kipindi kile tulikuwa tunatumia kichwa zaidi kuliko instruments za navigation instruments, kwa maana za kufanyia usafiri. Kwa mfano, kama itatokezea mtu ambaye tulikuwa tunamwamini kwamba yeye anatuongoza kwenye kufikia maeneo fulani kwa ajili ya uvuvi, siku hiyo mtu kama anaumwa, basi shughuli nzima inaumwa. Kwa hiyo kiufupi tulikuwa tunafanya kazi bila ya uhakika kwa kiwango. Nafikiri mara nyingi wanatumia satellite kuangalia wapi maeneo na wapi point ziko pale. Kwa hiyo wao walikuwa wanatumia point kutumia njia za simu. Baadaye na sisi kutoka na uzoefu tulikuwa tumeupata au kupita na taaluma ambayo walikuwa wametupa wale walimu wetu kwa kutumia masuala GPS, tayari data zile pale tunaingiza kwa GPS yetu, GPS kuiona na kuonesha kwamba wapi unakwenda na wapi unatoka.
PFZ imetondolea uvuvi wa mashaka.
Thank you, Eric. Thank you for the presentation and the very nice video. I think if we have your agreement, we can also upload the video on, or you can give us the YouTube link if it is existing, so that people could also, we can put also the link in the agenda on the registration website. So without further ado, because we are a bit late with respect to the agenda and we would like really to allow the three last speakers to have enough time also to present, I will just only pick one question for each of the two speakers. I would like also to ask Eric and Bennett to answer. For those that we will not be able to raise live, you can also type the answer to the question in the chat box. But I have one first for Bennett. So the question is from our colleague Mark Majodina. Thanks, Bennett, for the excellent presentation. As trust in marine weather forecasting improve in West Africa, what has the impact of this been on end user, and do you integrate the technical information? So mainly the questions on the, if you have perceived an impact on what you are doing on how the users in Africa are in Western Africa, the trust on weather forecasting.
Yeah, thank you very much. So as I indicated earlier, we worked with the fishermen to define the categories of the wave height. And so we have providing the information to them. A lot of them have come back to us, telling us how useful the information is. And they have agreed, they have indicated their agreement with the forecast that we provide them when they go to sea, the conditions they encounter, they go to sea. And so this is very useful to them. And I think that with the local fishermen, they are very happy and they actually want to see it going on. And there was one time that the messages didn't go. Then we started receiving calls from them that, hey, why are the messages not coming? They want the messages. So that provides an indication how reliable they are now on receiving the messages before they go to sea. I hope I've answered that question.
Thank you, Bennett. A second question to Eric from Maziazi. How do you acquire the chlorophyll data? And how do I apply such in marine forecasting? And is it relevant for marine? What is the importance of chlorophyll data for marine forecasting? Eric,
yes,
can you?
Yes, in fact, like I mentioned in the presentation, the data, it's 1 kilometer chlorophyll and SST data that we receive on the station. So we get it directly from the EUMETSAT. So we have to thank EUMETSAT for that. So we are getting the direct data directly from EUMETSAT. But this data is also available on a particular FTP site from PML. So I think it's accessible. You can also download it from their FTP site if you don't have an e-station. Now, regarding the forecasting, we have another product, 3 days weather forecast, where we do not really use the chlorophyll data, but we use the Copernicus forecast data that are already available, and we customize it for our region of interest. So for the PFZ, the chlorophyll A and SST data are important. But for the forecasting, marine forecasting part, like my colleague Bennett talked earlier, we normally use the forecast data that we get from Copernicus. Thank you.
Merci, merci Eric. Je voudrais maintenant passer la parole à Georges Goulembuga. Est-ce que Georges, tu es avec nous? Si Georges,
oui,
peut-être.
Je suis là.
Merci, bonjour là. Georges. Bonjour.
Bonjour.
Est-ce que, voilà, si tu peux partager ta présentation et merci pour se joindre à nous depuis Kinshasa, je suppose, et bonne présentation. Si tu peux rester dedans des 10 minutes imparties, ce serait parfait. Merci Georges, par avance.
Merci, merci cher Vincent. Nous voudrions remercier les organisateurs de ces webinaires qui nous permet de partager les expériences d'utilisation des données spatiales pour appuyer le développement socio-économique de la région Afrique centrale depuis l'initiative je pourrais commencer Puma, qui a appuyé plus le secteur météorologique et de l'aviation civile. Et nous sommes passés à MSD où on a commencé à élaborer des produits de prévision de hauteur d'eau pour guider les navigants. Nous sommes passés par MESA et maintenant nous sommes avec le projet Gmes qui est finissant première phase, dont la deuxième phase va bientôt commencer, où nous avons amélioré ces produits entamés pour appuyer le secteur de la navigation et pour développer ou booster l'économie bleue de cette région. Donc, je voudrais ici passer pour me présenter que je suis Georges Goulembuga, directeur des ressources en eau à la CICOS, qui est la commission du bassin du Congo, qui s'occupe de la promotion de la navigation intérieure et de la gestion intégrée des ressources en eau du bassin du Congo. Je n'ai pas la main sur ma présentation. Je pense que les techniciens du webinaire qui a la main, ils peuvent passer au slide suivant. Donc, notre petit contexte donc, de la région Afrique centrale, les services développés sous Gmes Africa phase 1, les résultats obtenus et les actions qui en ont suivi et l'impact du service lui-même. Il est reconnu que le bassin du Congo ou la région Afrique centrale, c'est le deuxième poumon mondial avec ses massifs forestiers et qui ne permet pas aussi la construction de routes terrestres, mais l'avantage qu'il a, il dispose de plus de 25 000 kilomètres qui permet les pays de se connecter et plusieurs territoires de ces pays, donc les pays de l'Afrique centrale, sont en grande partie enclavés, mais heureusement désenclavés par les voies d'eau. Slide suivant. Donc, c'est une région par rapport à ce contexte où il y a des échanges commerciaux qui se développent plus grâce aux voies d'eau. Donc, des millions de tonnes qui sont échangées aux voies d'eau. Il a été identifié quelques années, plus de 2500 bateaux qui naviguent sur ces réseaux, qui n'est pas encore en totalité exploité, c'est-à-dire que les 25 000, mais autour de 12 000 qui sont classifiés et qui reçoivent des bateaux de différentes gabarits. Donc, les transports fluviaux se trouvent les 10 fois moins chers que les transports, autres modes de transport. Si nous prenons les transports routiers et autres, c'est les transports fluviaux qui est moins cher et qui est le transport aussi à cause de l'environnement de la région qui est plus utilisé par les populations et pour les échanges. Suivant. Donc, comme nous le disions, il y a une grande demande avec les pays qui se développent de l'Afrique centrale par les populations de ces transports. Donc, la demande est très intense, s'est développée. C'est un peu le contexte dans lequel les besoins, slide suivant, les besoins ont été identifiés dans le cadre de développement des services. Slide suivant. Qui a été développé dans le cadre de Gmes Africa, donc les besoins d'appuyer ces secteurs aussi importants au bénéfice de ces différents pays, comme vous le voyez, le Burundi, le Cameroun, la République centrafricaine, le Congo, la RDC, le Gabon, la Guinée équatoriale, Sao Tomé, Principe, Tchad, Sao Tomé, comme la plupart de ces pays. Donc, les consortiums par la CICOS avec comme partenaire l'observation du bassin du lac Tchad, le centre de recherche hydrologique au Cameroun, les universités de Kinshasa, mais aussi avec des associés dans les travaux amenés comme les CURAT, l'UR2, la régie de voies fluviales et les différents services hydrologiques, mais aussi météorologiques de ces pays. Donc, dans ce cadre, nous avons été amenés à développer 3 services par rapport aux besoins qui étaient identifiés. Donc, les besoins d'appuyer le secteur de la navigation à travers le suivi des hauteurs d'eau qui permet de donner la route de navigation grâce aux tirants d'eau nécessaires à celle-ci. Il y avait également le service du suivi du bilan hydrologique parce que les bassins se trouvent pris en étau, que ce soit dans la partie nord, que ce soit dans la partie sud. Le bassin connaît le stress hydrique important, mais aussi nous avons mené les activités pour le suivi de la dynamique des zones inondées sous forêt de la cuvette centrale avec un accent particulier sur le suivi de l'habitat, de la biodiversité. Mais ici, nous voulons partager plus particulièrement les services qui a porté sur l'appui au secteur de la navigation. Suivant. Donc, c'est le service sur lequel nous voulions parler, qui est le suivi des hauteurs d'eau pour appuyer la navigation. Les besoins étaient identifiés, c'est de permettre aux navigants de suivre l'évolution des hauteurs d'eau et les donner des prévisions de ces hauteurs d'eau des différents passes de navigation pour qu'ils évitent les ruptures de charge et de très longs délais de voyage parce qu'ils sont butés aux difficultés de ne pas connaître les tirants d'eau et ne pas connaître la bonne voie, la bonne route à suivre, et ça mène les délais de voyage très longs et les ruptures de charge en certains points, mais surtout des accidents sur les différentes voies. Les besoins en données étaient exprimés en besoin de la bathymétrie parce qu'il faut trouver, non, les slides d'avant, besoins en données d'abord, et c'était les besoins hydrographiques, donc les besoins, la bathymétrie, le fond, mais les données hydrologiques et bien sûr les données satellitaires. Et nous avons pu utiliser les Landsat, mais les Sentinel-2 également, pour élaborer en termes de produits les cartes de navigation, électroniques de navigation de ces différents chaînons de cours d'eau identifiés. Comme bénéficiaires de ces c'est le secteur, bien sûr, de la navigation, mais les utilisateurs finaux, c'est les propriétaires des bateaux au niveau de la politique, parce que c'est un secteur, c'est le développement socio-économique. Et donc, ce service a consisté à élaborer ces produits, comme je viens de le dire, les cartes techniques de navigation, et pour appuyer à travers les systèmes modernes l'activité. Et les produits en main que nous avons mis auprès de end-user, c'était l'application smartphone sur laquelle il y a la route de navigation qui facilite le transport. Suivant. Donc, avec certaines références géodésiques, mais aussi topographiques, données tirées, et en termes des acquisitions des images, pour l'année, à la phase d'intégrer également les données bathymétriques, mais aussi l'intégration des éditeurs de cartes électroniques de navigation et les fichiers nécessaires à la visualisation de ces cartes. Donc, voilà un peu l'image de cette application. Donc, c'est une application comme d'autres applications smartphone où le navigant qui est sur son bateau dans sa capitainerie appuie et il a la route parce qu'on a intégré les signaux de balisage. Donc, il peut naviguer en suivant cette route sans pouvoir jeter un coup d'œil à gauche, à droite pour voir s'il y a des bouées ou pas. Et la carte est actualisée au fil de feedback que nous recevons de ces navigants. L'amélioration de transport ou de la navigation devient facile grâce à ces images obtenues de satellites procédés mis sur le téléphone. Ça rend. Après cette application, les acteurs ont été sensibilisés, mobilisés à l'utilité, à utiliser cette application et c'est le succès. Donc, le service a été mis à la disposition des navigants, et les feedbacks que nous sommes en train de recevoir de ceux qui ont commencé à utiliser cette application. Suivant, pour terminer. Donc, en termes d'impact de ces services, il se reflète dans la sécurité de la navigation. Donc, avec ces systèmes, il y a moins d'accidents qui s'opèrent sur les chaînons de nos cours d'eau. Comme je le disais bien avant, les délais de voyage ont diminué pour ceux qui exploitent et ça a fait augmenter la production dans les zones de production vers les zones de consommation qui étaient réduites parce qu'il n'y avait pas de bateaux qui pouvaient accéder. Et la conséquence était l'augmentation des produits, des denrées alimentaires. Mais comme il y a la fluidité du transport grâce à ces services, c'est les échanges qui commencent et c'est l'agriculture qui se développe dans les zones de production de l'intérieur. Et c'est l'économie bleue qui est soutenue par ces modes de transport véritablement dans notre région. J'ai également un petit film qui est sur les slides d'avant. Si notre administrateur système peut nous ouvrir, c'est de quelques secondes seulement pour terminer la présentation. Dans la deuxième slide d'avant, oui, voilà, à droite, la photo qui est là du bateau,
c'est une application qui va révolutionner la sécurité dans la navigation fluviale, mais pas
que. Très difficile pour la navigation sur la Sonda.
Grâce à un hydrographe, c'est lui qui nous reçoit au GI SCV.
Puisqu'ils peuvent le manipuler, le modifier chaque fois qu'ils arrivent à
Pour Aboubakar Alilou, c'est une avancée.
C'est une véritable avancée à laquelle la SICOS est très fière de participer en tant que chef de file du consortium qui conduit le projet GMS en Africa. Donc c'est l'un des résultats de ce projet et nous en sommes très fiers. Aujourd'hui, parce que ça s'inscrit également dans la vision et dans les missions de la SICOS, qui a donc pris l'engagement au nom de tous les États membres de pouvoir améliorer la navigation fluviale.
Après la théorie, petite randonnée sur le fleuve Congo pour bien comprendre cette application. Et je vois SO, 7 km.
En fait, ça, ce sont les vitesses et le cap. Donc voilà un peu. Là, nous pouvons voir comment le bateau doit se déplacer. Grâce à notre application et notre carte en fond.
Quelques minutes juste.
Merci, désolé d'interrompre cette vidéo, nous mettrons le lien aussi sur le site web. Merci beaucoup Georges, mais pour des questions de temps, j'aimerais maintenant passer la parole à Islam du NARS en Égypte. So Islam, the floor is yours for the next presentation. So you can share your screen.
Thank you, Vincent. Allow me to share the screen, yeah?
Yes, I think you should be able to. Yes. We can see it if you can.
You can see it now?
Yes.
First of all, thank you, Vincent Gabagalio and every Triple and the EUMETSAT for inviting me and the NAFCOST project to present our success story of the North Africa working on coastal and marine. And we actually made two main services to the community. However, there is a lot of intermediate products that also serve the community. We'll talk about oil spill monitoring and potential fishing zones. I believe potential fishing zone is aligned with Pillar 1 with Linda for the blue economy, and the surface one for oil spill is cross-cutting with Pillar 1 and all other pillars for blue economy strategy.
Islam, can I ask you to share your presentation in full screen mode? Maybe it will be more convenient.
Is it full screen mode now?
No. For the moment, we see the slide deck.
Is it now?
Yes, no, it's correct. Yes. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. So a little bit background about the project. The project is covering North Africa, Mediterranean Sea, Atlantic Ocean, and Red Sea, represented by Coordinated NARS, National Authority for Remote Sensing and Space Sciences. And we got a colleague from Tunisia, CERT, Center for Telecommunication, Morocco, University Chad, Cali, and Mauritania Institute of Oceanography and Fisheries, and intergovernmental organization called SUDARI, which is Center for Environment and Development for Arab Region and Europe. And this is the coverage of the project area. The deliverables, there's a lot of deliverables we got in the project. The two main services is GeoPortal, navcos.org, and we got two online applications and one mobile app, and we'll talk about it later. We did a lot of capacity building and training for partners, beneficiaries, and academia. And we made a lot of outreach and dissemination materials. We got an atlas, scientific papers, training materials, all this kind. Oil spill, I'm sure all of you know that the main source of the Mediterranean is the large traffic, maritime traffic, which is come from the shipping and the exploration and production of oil in the area. Our system detected a lot of oil spills. This is one of large oil spills in the Red Sea. And when it's being detected, we launch it. An aerial imaging by airplane that accurately and precisely identified the same outcomes that came from our system. We're linked with EIS data just to ensure about the shipping and maritime impact, and a lot of cases being recognized by the system and aligned with the ship timing and routes. So this is one of the main examples we have discovered during the passing of the shipping from Alexandria port somewhere going in Europe, and we detected this disconnected oil spill, and by inspection we found it, and by the AIS data we aligned this data. So integration of data of AIS with oil spill monitoring system was very helpful to the decision makers. Since the project is covering a wide range of marine area and a lot of countries, we make a standardization of the outputs. So whatever map or information comes from Egypt is exactly similar to Tunisia, to Morocco, to Mauritania. So we made a standardized page. Where is the layout? Where is the text? What is written in the text? What is the source of data? What's the date? All of this data is quite helpful when you create a report and send it to the beneficiary or the decision makers. This is example from Egypt. This is another example from Tunisia. This is example from Morocco. So you would see the similarity and standardization of the output of the data. This system took a lot of work. It was huge data sets. So this is just example of Egypt work on this oil spill. More than 6,000 satellite data, radar data, Sentinel-1 data. By the way, all the data used in this project is based on Copernicus and ESA satellite, Sentinel-1, Sentinel-2, Sentinel-3, and sometimes we use the other sensors, but still the major contributor of data is Sentinel data. So more than 6,000 satellite data from Sentinel-1 radar data was above 7.5 terabytes and 1,100 processing hours that created or recognized more than 220 oil spill cases. So this similar to other countries in Morocco and Tunisia, but it differs on the geographical coverage. We created an atlas for this particular oil spill monitoring, hard copy for the last 3 years, 2018, 2019, 2020, and we are in the process of 2021. When you hand over a print out of this atlas to decision maker or beneficiary, they would policy, they get attracted and see how much the information is accessible and available in a way that they like. This is again standard of the atlas output data and similar to each other. For this particular application, we created an oil spill application on mobile app, and if you go to the Play Store, you would download this data. This application, sorry. This application is very helpful that give you access to all oil spills, and once a new oil spill is coming, it sends SMS directly to the stakeholders. And we tested this application, and we are in the final refinement to ensure it's working for all the countries. We developed like a monthly calculator for like COVID-19, how many cases oil spill, what is the area coverage for each country, and disseminated as information to beneficiaries. We engage the stakeholders, and this is quite important to ensure that the service is coming to the societal benefit. We engaged with the stakeholders with a memorandum of understanding, which is signed particularly to give you the stakeholder access to the data and get benefit from the project outcome. This is, for example, in Egypt, similar to one happened in Morocco with Canal, and others with Tunisia. They actually allows them to get a request and official request about specific case, specific date, and actually it gives the project opportunity to respond and send them official report with the data and information about all this oil spill. It's quite important to engage the stakeholders and fisheries. This is the Assistant Minister of Environment who gave us a speech about how much NAFCOST project is providing a lot of support to Ministry of Environment in oil spill and others.
Dr. Islam, I'm afraid we cannot hear the Deputy Minister speaking.
Is that okay now?
Still not, no. I think it's a configuration on the way you share your screen.
It's embedded into the screen. What is I can send you the letter on the video.
Yes, maybe we can, if you have it, we can then put it also next to your presentation on the website. Yes.
What is his telling is a lot of a challenge they face the Environmental Agency as a prosecutor and the monitor to the environment for oil pollution, and how much NAFCOST provided them as environmental agencies full support to monitor and track up the oil pollution. I'll send you the video to share it with others. The second service, which is directly related to blue economy for Pillar 1, as Linda said, is the potential fishing zones. And we started to see how much is the Mediterranean and Atlantic Ocean contribute to the fish production in North Africa and to the community, and how much it creates jobs. And this actually took us to this new service to be delivered to the community. And we started with the species of Sardinia oteria, which is more common in the Mediterranean Sea and I believe in Atlantic Ocean as well. And we made the same exercise and the same model for another species, for tuna, for example, and we'll see you later. The region for PFZ, it's about how to use MODIS data and Sentinel-3 data to spot the potential fishing zones. I think, like my colleague Bennett said, in West Africa and Mauritius, Eric, there is a lot of function to map the potential fishing. You need to know the sea surface temperature that suits each species. You need to know the chlorophyll, as a food web. You need to know the salinity and the waves. All this kind of data is supposed to be integrated into one model to potentially map the potential fishing zones. Again, we worked on in Egypt and Tunisia, Mauritania, and Morocco, and each country and each partner start to work on the same species with the same preference for each species. This is Morocco. This was made on a daily basis, so you have to build the 365 days to see or to build a historical database that allow you to think about the forecasting to guide the fishermen on when and where to go. And this was important since we have not yet got a full database. So this helped us to put this database for the forecasting model. We repeated the exercise from Sardinella to tuna. And Sandrella, by the way, this is the main species, but underneath a lot of subspecies if the oceanographer or the fisheries experts can tell us. Again, this example from Morocco, University Sheikh Cali, on how much effort being made on this potential fishing zone exercise and model. More than 144 scene processed, 100 gigabyte, 370 processing hours, and they generated more than 1.3 sounds per square kilometer potentially for fishing zones. Definitely the engagement of a stakeholder, and this is quite important. One of the success story of this project is that all the line during the project, the whole 3 years, we engage stakeholders and experts to come with us, to give us guidance and to hear from us and refine the outcomes. This is loads of workshops and meetings and technical working group and experts to give us a guidance on how to proceed and how to functionally make this service available. In Tunisia and Egypt and Morocco, and this is in Morocco, this is in Tunisia, this is in Egypt. So a lot of opportunity to engage such stakeholders. I'll come to summarize the outcomes of the whole project. We developed the mature of two main services, oil spill monitoring as a first study for the blue economy strategy and potential fishing zones. We disseminated more than 11 quarter newsletters every quarter. I think the last one, number 12, will be published by the end of December. We published academia. We shared with academia and published 2 papers in Q1 journal and 1 in the Q, still under review, and 5 papers reviewed in preceding conference. This is how to interact with the academia and the academic community to see how much we could share knowledge and share information. G-Portal, and this is available on navcoast.org. You can look at it and see all the data, all the surface, all the applications. 2 applications online and 1 mobile app, and this is quite important to make an easy access for the application to the community. There's a press release to the community, more than in Arabic, 2 in French, 3 or 4 in English. So all this press release media to the local community in a non-technical issue is quite important. TV broadcasting video, we made a very good documentary video and sent it to the communication team for Gmes in Africa. I could send you the shorter one again to share it with my colleagues. Workshops, webinars, training, MSc and PhD. We got MSc student finished this MSc and 1 registered for PhD is going to continue. In conclusion, I could say that NavCoast project has achieved its objective generated services, engaged stakeholders and beneficiaries to each service, provided benefit to and service to the community and decision makers based on these services. There is a lot of intermediate products. It's not just a service. All the intermediate products of SST, CGMA, waves, salinity, all this kind of data and maps and information being transferred to the community to benefit from this one or to get it into another model for their purpose. And of course, to provide support to academia, MSc, PhD, and provide training to academia and visibility and dissemination of nodes and nodes. And I made a lot of interaction with Russia. I think this is the EU body that is making visibility of the outcomes. And she took the reading, she took all the information and she made a special issue or program about this. This is a nutshell how much, of course, North Africa project has engaged. By the way, even in this webinar, I thank EUMETSAT, Vincent and Hervey. There's a lot of partners, stakeholders, experts, and academia from my consortium are attending this webinar. So thank you again for this opportunity, and I'm happy for any question. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Islam. Thanks a lot for this excellent presentation. I would like now that we go to the last stage of our tour of the African under a blue economy perspective. And after Western, Eastern, Central, Northern Africa, let's go down to the southern part of the continent. And I would like now to give the floor to our colleague from CSIR, Lisve. Lisve, are you with us?
Yes.
Yes, hi, Lisve.
Am I clear?
Yes, we can hear you very well. While you are sharing your presentation, I would like also to ask the former speakers also to have a look to the Q&A questions. And if you can already provide some answer in written, that will let us to gain a bit of some time. We are running a bit late. So thanks for the previous speakers. Also, if you could take the time to look at the Q&A and provide written answer to some of the questions. So Lisve, the floor is yours. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you. Is the screen okay?
Yes, we can see it very well. Thank you.
Okay, perfect. Hi, everyone. My name is Lizum Tagane, and I work for Special Information Systems Group within the CSIR in South Africa. So we're part of the lead consortia for the SADC region as part of the Macro South project. So today we're presenting the ship traffic monitoring service as part of several other services. So my presentation will follow just a few steps. So it's the service objectives, the products and features, the users that we have, the achievements, and also lessons learned and the way forward. So the objective of the service is to improve the monitoring and control and surveillance within the southern regions of Africa. It's also to enhance coordination and enforcements between the countries involved, also to identify and protect sensitive and unique marine habitats, to manage limited human and financial resources. That is done through the joint initiative provided by the GMS in Africa, and also to address high levels of illegal and unreported, unregulated fishing activities, which is one of the biggest problems we face within the southern region. Moving to ship trafficking monitoring service itself. So we have several products and services within the service. So the service itself is accessed via a web interface, and it provides real-time monitoring of vessels within the southern region. It also provides historic tracking of the device of the vessels. Sorry. We also have products called dark target detections. So that is when ships switch off AIS, and then we can also detect them using Sentinel products such as Sentinel-1 SAR. We also have bilge dump detection within the system. We have sketched reports for the users on request. We also provide AIS and satellite fusion to associate each SAR detection to a specific vessel using AIS. We monitor marine protected areas using CHIFAs provided by the countries. The site is restricted access. So that means to access the website, you have to go through a login page. All of the services are fully automated. We have an advanced database management, which optimizes the performance of the website as it's a live service. So an example of data products includes AIS, which is automatic identification system, where all ships above a certain size are required by law to have this installed, to have this on board. So they send out their locations through the satellite AIS. Then we can then capture that and display it on the service. There's also smaller AIS systems called VMS. This is mainly used by fishing vessels. Then we have other data sets, including the SAR satellite data, which is thanks to the European Space Agency. So this slide shows most of the services combined. I'm not sure if they should see the mouse. So this here is the product from the SAR data detections, where the white icons represent vessels that were detected using the SAR images. This long line here represents the track of this vessel. So it's showing the history where it has been and the speed that it has been traveling as it was approaching the South African EEZ. We also have layers of EEZs. It's right now the one active one is only the South African one. So this is the South African EEZ. So then we can monitor is it within or outside the country's EEZ. We also have multiple classes for each vessels that you monitor, and you can select the one that you would like to view. The viewer also shows you all of the current vessels that you have clicked on. Then you can also save this data for later analysis. On the side here, you see all of the ship details that is currently selected. So it shows you the name, the MIMSI, its current position, and it also show you the image, which is not available at this time. This is an example of how the bilge detection is shown by the system. So on the front end, we draw a full polygon of the extent of the bilge dam, and then it shows the date here, the length, and the width, and also the picture of the SAT detection that was used to detect the bilge dam. So our users, this is not an exhaustive list. It's examples mainly based on South African users. So the system is mainly used by maritime safety authorities. It's used by police services, state agencies use the system. Forestry and fishing departments also can use the services, including the revenue services. So all of these services, the access is granted using a username and a password, and not all of the data sets that they receive is the same. For example, the fisheries department may be restricted, or maybe the SARS users may be restricted on some of the data sets. On the impact achieved by the system thus far, so the users have identified risk vessels. So that is mainly used during the corona, the COVID-19. So as we know, if the vessel is coming from certain places or whatever, then they'll be flagged as there a potential risk, or if they also sending out pre-arrival notes that is the people sick on board, that information is also sent through the system. Vessel activities, we identify vessel activities that are vessels that may be moving too slow in certain areas. That means that there may be something suspicious that they'll be doing, depending on the restrictions on that area. Because some certain areas you may not, the vessels are not allowed after a certain time, or the speed should not be below this, and all of that. We also look at foreign and local yards. So we're also looking at vessels of interest. So this is mostly used by the security cluster from the users. Impact reported on papers and the media includes some of the system has been used for drug busts by the security cluster. This is also has been used to also assist some of the fisheries department. So a way forward and lessons learned. So we have learned from the system that adopting this approach through regional and using joint efforts, it's very important for success successful system within between regions. And also,
Lise, we have some difficulty hearing you.
So sharing
Could you just restart from this slide?
For mutual interest will strengthen the fight against illicit maritime activities.
Yes, Lisve, can you hear me? Because we have a little bit of difficulty in hearing you.
As a ship,
I think no, it's better, but we have lost your last intervention, the last minute. I don't know if there is anything you could do to improve your connectivity.
Travels through
Hello, Lisvek, are you still with us?
Hello.
Yes, we have been losing you, and we lost your presentation also. No, we have had some difficulty in hearing you on the last 2 minutes.
Okay.
No, we hear you well. It's okay.
Yeah, it's been going out of sync that most of the webinar, so I had to consistently keep refreshing the page. Where did you lose me?
On the next, this one was fine. This one also, the next one, I think this one, yes. Oh,
okay.
Sorry. No, it was the previous one. Yeah, just towards the end, yes.
Yes. Yeah, I was talking about the lessons that we've learned during the Marco South project. And I've also presented the list of what needs to be done going forward on the second phase, as we will be expanding the data coverage, and also the integration of existing data between partners is very important, and also to update the user requirements of the system as we're adding more partners to the system and adding more users, and also encourage co-development and shared research. I think that was it. And the link to the website, it's marcosouth.org.
Yes, thank you, Lisve. Thanks for this presentation and joining us. First, we'd like to apologize that we are a little bit late. We wanted to keep this webinar in 2 hours. This webinar was also a teaser for the GMS and Africa second forum, which will take place next week in Abidjan. Where all GMS and Africa consortia will present actually the outcome of the project that was initiated more than 3 years ago. I'm looking, I know that most of our colleagues were really busy also answering the questions that have been raised in the Q&A in written. Maybe I would invite all of you to have a look to the question and answer one. For the sake of time, it won't be possible for us to reopen too much this session on question and answer. However, I would like, I think, to repeat that all presentation will be uploaded this afternoon on the website. Maybe I can ask my colleague to send again the link to the registration webpage where the presentation will be posted, also together with the link to the various videos that we have seen in the presentation, and also a link to the YouTube recording of this webinar. Je voudrais maintenant remercier tous les participants à ce webinaire. Nous n'avons pas eu beaucoup de temps pour passer aux questions et réponses. J'en suis désolé, mais j'espère que Pour ceux qui ont posé des questions sous l'onglet Q&A, questions et réponses, vous pouvez regarder sous l'onglet réponses répondues, Answered Questions. Et là, vous trouverez les réponses des intervenants à vos questions. Nous fournirons aussi une réponse aux 3 questions qui restent. Sur ce, j'aimerais aussi remercier nos collègues de l'Union africaine et du programme GMES de nous avoir accompagnés durant ce webinaire, durant ces 2 dernières heures. L'objectif qu'on s'était fixé était en fait 2 objectifs. D'une part, c'était de faire le lien entre la politique spatiale africaine et la politique pour l'économie bleue. Et j'espère qu'à travers les différentes présentations, vous avez pu vous rendre compte du lien étroit qu'il existe entre ces 2 politiques et que la mise en commun de ces 2 outils dont dispose l'Afrique, donc ces 2 outils politiques, et les capacités que nous ont démontrées les 5 intervenants africains sur ce qu'il se passe actuellement, ce qui est possible de faire en Afrique, auront été la preuve de la possibilité et les capacités en Afrique pour que l'observation de la Terre puisse soutenir les objectifs de l'économie bleue en Afrique. Le deuxième objectif était de vous informer sur l'état de l'art, je dirais, en termes de qu'est-ce qu'il existe en termes de données satellites et quelles sont les capacités qui ont été construites et mises en place et qui existent en Afrique pour l'utilisation de ces données-là. De notre côté, de EUMETSAT, c'est un plaisir de voir que les centres africains sont non seulement capables d'accéder, de traiter les données, mais ont démontré leur capacité à développer des services à valeur ajoutée qui répondent au mieux aux besoins de leurs utilisateurs en Afrique. Pour nous, de voir que ces relais peuvent être mis en place et que les données des satellites puissent servir à des services à valeur ajoutée sur le continent est une des satisfactions que je dirais que nous avons, nous, du côté EUMETSAT, et un encouragement pour nous de continuer non seulement à opérer des satellites qui observent l'océan, les cours d'eau, mais également de poursuivre cette coopération avec l'Afrique et avec les collègues qui sont intervenus dans les années qui suivent, et notamment au travers de la seconde phase du projet GMES Afrique qui devrait débuter en début d'année prochaine. Sur ce, j'aimerais remercier tout le monde pour votre participation, et merci aussi aux interprètes, à mes collègues ici à EUMETSAT qui ont aidé sur la logistique de ce webinaire. Merci aux participants, aux intervenants pour les excellentes présentations qu'ils ont pu nous fournir. Et un grand merci à tous les participants d'avoir participé activement par le chat ou par les Q&A à ce webinaire. À très bientôt. Pour ceux qui auront l'occasion d'être à Abidjan la semaine prochaine pour suivre le forum GMES Afrique, je vous souhaite un bon séjour dans cette merveilleuse ville. N'oubliez pas également le workshop, l'atelier organisé par Mercator Océan et le Copernicus Marine Service qui auront lieu le 7 et 8 octobre la semaine prochaine. Vous pouvez continuer aussi à nous suivre sous les réseaux sociaux, sous le tweet d'EUMETSAT ou le hashtag EOAfrica au Blue Economy. Et je vous souhaite à toutes et à tous une excellente fin de journée et à très bientôt. Merci. Thank you all and wish you a nice day. Thanks.
Thank you. Bye.
Merci.
Bye.
Thank you, Islam. Merci.
Merci, cher